It's difficult to imagine anything more terrifying than being stalked through the undergrowth by a hungry predator. But what if that predator was your own offspring? For many species of dinosaur, this grim reality was part of everyday life. We're used to thinking of dinosaurs as gigantic, ferocious beasts, but what were their first years like? Welcome to the channel. Join me as we travel back in time to learn about a period in Earth's history better known as the dawn of a dinosaur. Let's get started. In our minds, we tend to picture dinosaurs as giant reptiles that roamed the Earth during the Jurassic or Cretaceous periods. The largest of these dinosaurs reached truly staggering heights. The imposing Argentinosaurus, for example, could easily have dwarfed even the largest of blue whales. It weighed about 70 tons and measured nearly 35 meters long. Even the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex would have made short work of an adult human. With its 6-meter-long jaws alone, this carnivore could easily deliver fatal bites with its teeth, some of which grew to over 60 centimeters in length. But how did such giants come into the world? What did their first few years look like before they became real-life monsters? To answer these questions, paleontologists are searching for fossils of juvenile dinosaurs because studying the remains of baby dinosaurs can tell us something about the growth process and development of these ancient creatures. In order to find out what life was like for baby dinosaurs, researchers are on the trail of miniaturized fossils. To date, however, only a small number of skeletons of very young dinosaurs have been discovered, as the tiny bones of these prehistoric animals decompose particularly quickly and are thus rarely preserved in the fossil record. However, there are some exceptions. In 2001, Wendy Ceratops, a paleontologist at the University of Montana in Missoula, made a remarkable discovery. She found a fossil of a baby dinosaur in the Chinese province of Gansu. The animal is a relative of Ankylosaurus and was only 10 centimeters long at the time of its death. The so-called Boreopelta markmicheli was probably only a few weeks old when it died. Like most of its relatives, it was covered with bony armor plates, but unlike the adult animals, the youngsters had soft, downy feathers that helped them keep warm. The fossil remains of several dozen juvenile dinosaurs have since been discovered in China, some of which are just a few days old. A look at these fossils shows that many dinosaurs hatched from their eggs fully feathered. The oldest known feathered dinosaur was the Archaeopteryx. Its fossilized remains were discovered as early as 1861 in southern Germany. This species lived about 150 million years ago. The fossils show that the animals were covered with asymmetrical feathers that were particularly dense around the tail. The feathers were also asymmetrical, which means they differed in shape depending on whether they were located on the left or right side of the body. This feature is typical of birds, but not of reptiles. Scientists suspect that the dinosaurs inherited their feathers from their closest relatives, the birds. Fossils of other dinosaurs, such as the velociraptor, which lived in what is now Mongolia about 75 million years ago, also show that the animals sported striking plumage. However, the feathers of the feathered dinosaurs were probably not used for flight, but served other purposes such as attracting partners or hiding from predators. This brings us to another question. How big were baby dinosaurs when they hatched from their eggs? This question can be answered quite easily in the case of the already mentioned Boreopelta markmichel. Because the fossil also includes the egg, the scientists know that the dinosaur hatched from a relatively small egg, but how big were the eggs of other dinosaurs? The answer depends somewhat on the species. Some dinosaurs laid larger eggs than others. The Dinosaur, for example, which was related to the Argentinosaurus, laid eggs about 20 centimeters long. The corresponding eggs are referred to by scientists as titanatids. Other dinosaurs, such as the sauropods, laid much smaller eggs. Sauropods include the most famous dinosaurs, such as the Brachiosaurus and the Diplodocus. Their eggs are just 6 centimeters long and are called ovoids. What does the interior of a dinosaur egg look like? In general, dinosaur eggs consisted of 3 main parts: the inner and outer shell membranes and the shell. The shells of dinosaur eggs were much thicker than those of modern birds. They were about 2 millimeters thick and contained pores through which the developing embryo received oxygen. Many dinosaur eggs are decorated with fine structures or surface patterns. These consist of small bumps or grooves, but may also form a lattice structure or have a spotted appearance. The colors of the eggs varied greatly. Some were white, others light green, brown, or gray. Some were even speckled. These features help scientists classify dinosaur eggs into different morphotypes. To date, however, we don't know exactly what these patterns meant or why the eggs were colored that way. Speaking of the color of dinosaur eggs, some recent studies suggest that certain dinosaurs may have incubated their eggs in nests made of rotting vegetation. According to this theory, the dinosaurs chose locations with dead plants because the rotting material produced enough carbon dioxide to turn the eggs a reddish-brown color. A study published in 2020 looked at several dozen fossilized dinosaur eggs from the Guangzhou region in eastern China. The eggs were between 6 and 24 centimeters wide and came from at least 9 different species of dinosaurs. Their age ranged from 70 to 240 million years. The researchers discovered that about 2/3 of the eggs showed signs of incubation. They then compared these fossils with plant fossils from the same location and period. The results show that dinosaur eggs turned red when buried under decaying vegetation. Most of the eggs examined were laid during the late Cretaceous. At that time, the Earth's surface was largely covered in broadleaf and coniferous forests. Since these plants decomposed relatively quickly, the animals could use the carbon dioxide released during the decomposition process to incubate their eggs. The carbon dioxide reacted with iron sulfide in the eggshells to form iron sulfide, giving the eggs their characteristic color. While the majority of the studied eggs were found in shallow depressions, some were in piles of decaying vegetation. The researchers assumed that the dinosaurs deliberately chose these locations. They dug shallow depressions and piled up dead plants to create artificial nests. These nests were covered with a layer of soil about 20 centimeters thick, which helped protect the eggs from being washed away by rain. But what did the daily life of baby dinosaurs look like? What did they eat and how did they defend themselves against predators? The food of baby dinosaurs depended on the species. Some herbivorous dinosaurs began eating solid food soon after hatching. Others still relied on their parents' milk when they were 2 or even 3 years old. Carnivorous baby dinosaurs, on the other hand, probably hunted alongside adult animals from an early age. However, there is no evidence that the young actively participated in hunting. Instead, they probably followed the adults and fell upon the prey when the opportunity arose. As far as the defense mechanisms of baby dinosaurs are concerned, it can be said that they were rather weak. Newborn animals were probably not yet able to flee from predators or fight back against them. Adults took care of the safety of their offspring for several years. In the case of the ornithominid dinosaurs, for example, the parents apparently carried their young on their backs. This behavior has been preserved in a fossil from the genus Orodromeus. The specimen is a mosaic of both an adult and a juvenile animal, literally fused into one fossil. This suggests that the dinosaurs spent a lot of time together. Unfortunately, we know little about the life of baby dinosaurs. This is mainly due to the fact that the corresponding fossils are extremely rare. In fact, paleontologists have never discovered a fossil of a nest with several eggs. The oldest known dinosaur nest was discovered in 1923 in Mongolia. It contains a total of 24 eggs. However, the researchers believe that the nest was abandoned before all the eggs hatched. Otherwise, the fossil record would contain many more traces of the eggs and the young animals. Miniaturized fossils may help us unravel the mysteries surrounding the dawn of the dinosaurs. Researchers are therefore looking for fossils of newborns worldwide. Perhaps someday we'll even discover a baby dinosaur in Europe. Who knows? If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe and click on the bell to stay up to date from now on. Thanks for watching. Have a good one and see you next time.